A crucially important aspect of any KeyForge set after Call of the Archons is the reprinted cards. Reprints need to synergize with the new mechanics and playstyle of the next set they show up in. For example, Cutthroat Research had extremely limited utility in Age of Ascension, but in Worlds Collide, with cards like Eddie bumping up key cost, it suddenly became much more useful. Today we'll be looking at 10 cards that got reprinted in Winds of Exchange that fit the new set perfectly, bringing amazing levels of synergy and interaction to the card pool that puts them in a whole new light. Let's get started. We'll start off with an interesting one, Tactical Officer Moon, who's back from Worlds Collide. Moon was always an odd creature to me, with Assault 2 and allowing you to rearrange a player's battle line when you play her. The most use I ever got from her was getting creatures next to or away from taunt protection or effects given by Melina or Breaker Hill, things like that. But I think Moon will be much more versatile in Winds of Exchange. With token creatures usually being so small, she could rearrange the opponent's battle line so their tokens are all bunched together, setting up for a strong fighting spree with Zizok, or making splash attack more potent. Even outside of token creatures, you could set up for an especially potent Grand Melee, or put a creature you want to swap for on a flank for Equidon effects like Exchange Program. You could rearrange your own battle line to benefit more from cards like Stronger Together and Camaraderie. Moon will have some hype plays in this new set that I'm excited to witness. Our next card is Total Recall, and the next few cards, including this one, all have to do with the fact that when token creatures are removed from play, whether that's through being destroyed or bounced back to hand, they revert back to being their original card type, action, artifact, etc. So, dropping Total Recall on a friendly board full of token creatures, returning them all to your hand, could open up some major possibilities. If a lot of your token creatures were made from Mars cards, you just put a bunch of usable cards back into your hand, in addition to getting Total Recall's amazing bursty effect. Or say you returned a bunch of regular creatures to your hand that perhaps would serve a much better purpose as token creatures, you could go Total Recall directly into Space Invaders, essentially transforming each creature you return to hand into a token creature. I think Total Recall will have a lot of potential in this set in addition to being an amazing burst card. In a similar vein, we have Maelstrom as our third card, placing each creature back on top of its owner's deck in a random order. Again, any token creatures hit by Maelstrom will revert back to their original card type when they return to the top of the deck, so you could draw back into them on subsequent turns in their normal form. And of course, Maelstrom is still just a great way to clear the board, so it definitely serves in that way in this set as well. Transporter Platform also returns for Winds of Exchange, and has similar token creature potential but on a much smaller scale. It has its usual synergies of recurring play effects or dropping lots of Ember-laden upgrades multiple times in a turn, but now you could also return a token creature to your hand, so it, again, reverts back to its original card type. Let's say you made a token creature out of an important card that you were really hoping to use normally, like Generous Offer or something. Transporter Platform could put it back into your hand, saving that card from its tokenized fate and allowing it to be used for its needed purpose once again. This is why I'm so excited for cards like Dragnet and Avid Collecting, for stuff like this. Next up is Harmonic Ritual, a really fun card from Dark Tidings with good burst potential. In Winds of Exchange, spam a bunch of token creatures next to each other and drop Harmonic Ritual for a big burst, simple as that. Or, going back to Tactical Officer Moon, literally rearrange your battle line to set up for the biggest Harmonic Ritual play possible. It fits in great with other Bursty Sanctum cards like Membership Drive, and I'm definitely excited to open a WoE deck containing a copy of it. Our next card is also a Dark Tidings reprint, Sorarium. It prevents each creature with the lowest power from reaping, and I absolutely hated this card in DT. I personally just discarded it most of the time, but against small token creatures, Sorarium would be crippling. Decks that make lots of Scholars or Rebels will be absolutely shut down by Sorarium, and you'll also have to watch what token creatures you make so you don't hurt yourself. Preferably, you would have a really large token creature, like Berserker or Warrior, so they're not affected. It'll still be a finicky card for sure, but will be great at countering the token meta. Brobnar is another great provider of token creature counterplay, that of Earthshaker, who destroys each creature with power 3 or lower when he's played. 24 out of the 28 token creatures in Winds of Exchange have 3 or less power, so Earthshaker will destroy just about any of them when he hits the board. Token creature spam will not be safe against this guy, who can counter that strategy in an instant, alongside brand new cards like Pale into Insignificance and Adult Swim. Returning to Saurian, we have Tribune Pompous, a Worlds Collide classic. This sort of power boost will be handy for battle lines full of really tiny creatures, especially tokens. Saurian continues to do a lot of exalting and capturing in this set, so increasing the power of small creatures and tokens would be nice. And going back to Sorarium, it could help get your creatures out of Sorarium's range so they're not affected by its disruption. Tribune Pompous will help just a little to protect all that vulnerable Ember on your creatures, and power boosting smaller ones like Cleric, essentially making them 3 power when they enter play, has gotta be a plus. Our last two cards come from House Mars, the first of which is Mars Needs Ember. In Age of Ascension, Mars Needs Ember had cards like Tixel Beambuckler and Mothership Support to help it go off, but in Winds of Exchange, that support is multiplied tenfold. Mothership Support and Beambuckler return alongside Red Planet Raygun and Ammonia Clouds. There are new cards like Genetic Blast and R-Evolution, and Mars also tends to enhance damage pips with cards like Glilix Weaponsmith and Suspended Animation. Even one of their token creatures, Rebel, deals a damage when it reaps. There is so much direct damage in Mars to set up for consistent, potent Mars Needs Ember plays, to then maybe combo into a Kaboom when all is said and done. And finally, we have Hypnotic Command, a threatening source of Ember control in all the sets it's been in. The more Mars creatures you have on board, the better it gets. Well, what about with lots of Mars creatures on board, in addition to a ton of Mars token creatures as well? Decks with the ability to generate loads of Mars tokens will have frightening Hypnotic Command setup potential, forcing the opponent to lose out on 4, 5, or even more Ember at once. Follow up with a Brain Dart so the creature captures even more from its controller, and finish it off with a Destroy Them All. And there we have it, 10 cards reprinted for Winds of Exchange that synergize in some new and exciting and very powerful ways. Let me know what reprints you guys are most looking forward to in the new set, or what new synergies you've already discovered. And lastly, small channel update, now that I've hit 1,000 subscribers, I hope to start rolling out some fun channel memberships that you guys can be a part of. I'm still working out the neat perks and everything that you guys will get to benefit from, so be on the lookout for those when I activate them so you all can enjoy my channel and the game of KeyForge more than ever. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all again in the next one. See you later.